Huey argued that technology had created a global economy, effectively erasing the notion of nations and therefore eliminating the creation of a socialist state. Now, some of this might get a little messy, but I want to make it very quickly plain. In other words, Huey was saying because of technology, there were no more nations, that the tech-generated global economy had trumped the economic sovereignty of individual nations. Let's talk about why the Europeans formed the European Union, and then you begin to see it. What's the significance of the French franc at this point, or the Deutschmark, or anything? That's gone, right? And they start trying to hold on to that because Trump's trying to break that down. And then why was Gaddafi killed by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama? Because he was forming the African Economic Union, right? And getting ready to eliminate all the debt because he had the money. They dragged him through the streets like a dog and so forth and so on. So where's the sovereignty of Libya, or really of any country in Africa? How can we say that with this imperial march of the United States that any country around the world has independent sovereignty and can be called an independent nation? We can talk about China but in a minute. And Huey said that we say that the struggle in the world today is between the small circle that administers and profits from the empire of the United States and the peoples of the world who want to determine their own destinies. So let's look at how we talk about the police murders of blacks today in the United States, which I want to just mention. I just don't want to hear anybody say, I know you came out of Ferguson, Elaine, but hands up, don't shoot. You know, I got a picture of Jonathan Jackson when he took over that courthouse, and he has that M1 carbine on this pig, and he's taking his gun out of his holster, the cop's gun out of his holster, Johnson is. So I put a label to that that said, hands up, don't shoot. Now that would be a better image for me. I see, somebody was listening. So you look at a police action in the United States going out here and just killing people arbitrarily as they do every day. But we look at a country like Syria, and so the United States says Syria is a problem. Let's just bomb Damascus. Now wait a minute, what happened to, like, is this a war we're in Syria? We don't even know anymore. This is not a sovereign country. We just told them what they can't do, just like we tell Korea. You better dismantle all your nuclear weapons or whatever it is. And just like we talk about Iran, we're talking to Iran like we're running Iran, like we run the community, black community. Matter of fact, we do, don't we? Not we, them. The same people that control us. Talk about Iran can't have no nuclear weapons when Israel got all the nuclear weapons in the world. Ain't nobody even checking that. Right? Why? Because Israel's a part of the United States. It's part of the empire. As is everybody. Look at that. Why is the United States in Afghanistan? Nobody can tell you today. I mean, why is it America there? And then Betsy DeVos's brother, her crazy brother that owns Blackwater, owns Blackwater. This is my speech. That owns Blackwater. Let a sister speak. So the Blackwater guy is trying to convince the United States to get rid of all the American troops and bring in some private Blackwater folks. And that's how crazy it is. In other words, just like we have Israelis training cops in Atlanta. Am I making this stuff up?
Negative.
Here they are training cops in Atlanta. How does this work? And all of Africa is under the heel of the United States, as it has been, but it was before that it was colonization. But right now, you know, the 23 poorest countries in the world, 9 are in Africa. And this in the same status basically as black people in the United States. I look at Sierra Leone. I met a brother from Sierra Leone. He was a chief. He came to Georgia where I was living at the time because he wanted to find out if we could put together packages of rice to send into Sierra Leone. I said, wait a minute. Don't you have all the bad diamonds on the planet in Sierra Leone? How is it that you would come to Georgia and ask some black people for some rice? That's just incredible. You don't have food, but you got diamonds. How's that possible? Well, you know, all of the diamonds, all that so-called blood diamonds where they said the blacks were fighting each other, I can talk about that for a minute, but the point is the whole of the diamond industry in Africa is controlled through De Beers and the same old Oppenheimer, just same old South Africa, the same thing. So Why am I saying this? Because technology has allowed the United States to control the world's economy so that we are beyond colonialism and neo-colonialism now. We're somewhere else. I think it should be noted that the reason that the U.S. was able to develop and control technology because the white men who have been in control of the technology and who have been enjoying hundreds of years of economic superiority arising from the foundations of hundreds of years of slavery, giving them the time, the space, and the resources to discover and invent and think. We out here scuffling for food, and I'm coming up with the atom bomb. Let me think. I'm just going to be thinking all day. That's what I'm actually going to be doing all day. I don't have to scuffle for food or housing or any of these things. I have the leisure to do that because I've exploited so many people during the various phases of the rise of capitalism in the United States. So that as a result, you have global communications, global transportation, global production, sales, and distribution of products and services. The world itself has been reduced to a collection of communities, no different than the hood. A world without borders under the economic and military rule of the United States. And this is what Huey Newton called a global state of reactionary intercommunalism, intercommunalism. But this same technology that created the empire has brought the people of the world together. When Coca-Cola said, I want to buy the world of Coke, meaning now I want to sell the world of Coke, but in order for them to sell the world, they had to have the means of transportation, communication, and so forth to do that. So the technology has strangely united everybody in the world. You know, Facebook and all of that, right? Through communications, transportation. So this shift that we used to assert that this shift created the conditions for a revolutionary change in America. And how is that? And throughout the world. Because if we're united and it's us against them and there's more of us, once we begin to understand what is keeping us there and we can say we seize that unity, whether it looks good now or not, we can create a new kind of world and we don't have to wait to have social state here, social state there. We can create global revolutionary, what we call revolutionary intercommunalism. So the question is whether or not the oppressed people of the world can use this United States to seize control of technology to their common benefit and make it act in a desired manner. We look at the African continent today, you got people that don't even have running water and got cell phones with a Facebook on it. People in the hood with Instagram and all day long ain't got no heat in their house. As a matter of fact, don't have a house. Up there Instagramming. So we know we are connected to this stuff. It's just that we have been living in dreamland here, or happy for the little teeny crumbs to be putting out my Facebook page with my play cousin's birthday party. Thank you, at least somebody. You know, or something. I write these people all the time, please don't come on my Facebook page, and I do have one because my daughter maintains it. People say, oh, I'm your Facebook friend. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll read it, you know. But she does just to make sure everybody's not out there organizing to hurt me or something, right? I'm still paranoid from back in the day. I don't know about you. So the question is, can we use the existing tech advantages and knowledge and maybe create some new technologies to produce what we need? A kind of survival program pending, as we used to say, revolution, in terms of food, housing, clothing, education. Can we do it? Do we have the ability to use the existing technology and create new technologies to take down the empire and install a new and better world society that we want? You know, despite industrialization, the fact that industrialization passed over blacks, you know, my mother said, people got to talk about the depression back in the day. My mother's like, what depression? You know, it's like when people say the market is receding or whatever they say, black people don't know what that means. That stuff's like way over here. Industrialization escaped us. We didn't get no jobs, we were discriminated against, and we didn't control any of it. So the good news is we have nothing to undo or unlearn. We don't have to worry about working in a coal mine or not working in a coal mine or having a coal mine, because we never had anything to do with that other than to build them in the beginning when we coming out of slavery and being re-enslaved. But despite the fact that we've never had any relationship to this economy other than in an oppressed state, and as low-level consumers and now better consumers, we still reinvented ourselves every generation and survived by creating everything we could. America's only original music, jazz. America's real cuisine. And everything from blood plasma to the development of the personal computer. Oh, that's right. Let's remember that part, right? Dr. Mark Dean, right? You didn't know it, know it. One of the inventors of the personal computer, who was black, despite lack of education, lack of opportunity, despite the schools that were in Elaine's neighborhood. Some kind of way, we still forged ahead. So if black people could do this for the last 400-some years, you know good and well we ought to be able to deal with what's going on right now if we have the will and we have a goal to achieve that will, to achieve that. The agrarian capitalists that started this country ruled by the gun, killed all the native people. You know, these people talk about the gun culture of America today. Wait, the country was founded on the gun. That's how the country got founded. Just wipe out the entire Powhatan Confederacy in Virginia and call it Jamestown, after King James, author of the Bible. So they did it through the gun and then exploited human labor to make it for free, where there were no machines producing rice and cotton and other products that the entire world began to buy and became some of the richest men in the world. The industrial capitalists, they were able to rule through ruthless human exploitation, cheap labor operating machines, seizing the means of production and the materials, everything from clothing to coal, everything. Now we are in what one book calls, and I happen to like this book, called the second machine age. Now what is that? The first machine age was all industrial, you know, coming up with a steam engine and so forth and so on, so that everything for all the thousands of years of human beings that we know of in recorded history that was made by human labor. But a machine changed that. The steam engine and the machine changed that so that we don't make things anymore. Well, we don't have to. There are things machines that can replace all human labor and do it faster. And we now know that we're in the second machine age, as this book calls it, where we have ideas and programs that can even make stuff faster and different, right? So the tech capitalists rule by control of computer programs, don't they? Is this making any sense to anybody else?
Yes, definitely.
And they expedite development of everything imaginable, right? Anything you can imagine can be produced at this point, right? Everything is knowable, we just don't know it. But we know now that we probably can know it. We're going to know something. And this is how we can begin to think about controlling technology. Now, there's still the Exxons and the Walmarts, but the global economy is dominated by tech corporations. Most of them are rising in Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, right? And all these guys went to school some kind of way they end up in Stanford. You know what I mean? Seriously, if you look up Larry Page, the Google guy, these people were rich. Excuse me, his father was like a professor of not computer science, that was the mother. He was you know, whatever it is, if anybody knows, you can tell me. Bill Gates and Microsoft, they thought Bill was just sitting around. He didn't have to finish college. He was going over to Stanford, playing with the big machines over there. Steve Jobs and Apple got his first job from Bill Hewlett of Hewlett-Packard. Gave little Steve a job when he was 13, you know. So Mark Zuckerberg, that's my favorite. Here's a little ugly guy, goes to Harvard. And this guy's trying to get a date. And he comes up with a plan for dating. How's an ugly guy going to get a girl? You know, necessity is the mother of invention, right? Mark Zuckerberg just said, how? And he wasn't even a coder. He got somebody else to do the code, to figure out how he could get a girl. Jeff Bezos, he's like the Walmart of the internet, right? Yeah. What does he actually produce? Nothing. Just fast ways for us to buy more shit, right? That's it. Mark Benioff, now Mark Benioff is a coder. But he has this thing called Salesforce. What do? Data management. What does that even mean? they do what we would like to have done. So we don't have to think about a lot of stuff and go, how many people are going to show up? We can project and do all these things for these big corporations, right? These people are not doing very much. And then there's Travis Kalanick, right, the Uber guy. He's saying, you know, this is a fast way to get around, yada, yada. But ain't nobody trying to have the cancer cure code. Where's the worldwide energy saving code? Where's the food production code? Where's the end of poverty code? Where's that? We sitting around here talking about you want to be a coder. Let's get to coding. Yes. These boys producing shit that we don't even have much of a relationship. Like buying a Facebook family. You can imagine people in rural Africa, Tanzania, 75% of Tanzania doesn't have any electricity. People up there with cell phones and a Facebook page talking about whatever it is that they could possibly be talking about. So if we believe and know that there is indeed a thing like a 3D printer that can make a house, we have to know that we can imagine the infinite possibilities of what we can do by using our minds that are conscious in the interest of our people. Now, if you don't have the will to do that, there's no point in this conversation. The global crop of capitalists that's out there now, managing data, information, social media, and endless apps for millennial pleasure. How can we, because you smart, don't ask me to code. I'm still back in the old school where girls don't do math. I know that sounds stupid, but I don't really mean it, but I do mean it. We need to develop the technology so that our people have houses. You up here whining about gentrification, what the fuck you doing about it? Either you're going to shoot the developer or you're going to get to building some houses. Now, I know you're not going to shoot the developer because you've been crying about this stuff for the last 30 years. I'm building housing in West Oakland. Right, Tyson? Yes. 100% free. Allowing people who are formerly incarcerated, building employment for formerly incarcerated people. If you believe this is what you need to do, we can't cry about this stuff anymore. Use your power to build houses for your folks. You know how we got the property that we have in West Oakland? We deep in the hood, ain't we? We just basically occupied it. And then, well, not quite, but it was kind of like that. And it's, you know, little legal things that you can look up. This shouldn't be much trouble for you to figure out how many empty lots in. Is this really Hell's Kitchen? There was a cop in LA, remember Pansy and Paula? There was a cop in LA, he says, I'm from Hell's Kitchen, I hate niggers and sticks, that's what I like to shoot them. I was like, he said, got any problem with that? I said, no, I got a problem with that big 44, because that's not even standard issue pistol that's in my face. But anyway, Hell's Kitchen, don't look like Hell's Kitchen. But anywho, the point is, if we can come up with a technology that can feed our people, I don't care if it gets cooked or not, quite frankly, because I can't cook, so I don't care. But I care that we eat. You know, when people start talking to me about we need, I have a farm, we have a farm, right? We have organic vegetables, but you can't grow that much stuff to feed people for no weeks and months at a time. Not on no little urban farm. It's cute, but it ain't working. There was right down the street from us, there's a place called Mandela Foods. And they're, you know, like organically grown. They're selling kale chips in a bag for $5, you know what I mean? But they in the hood. And it used to be a dollar store right there, 2 doors down, where you could get two big bags of Funyuns for $1, and you get you some hot dogs and a can, no less. But shoot, you could feed like 14 of your little grandchildren that we don't know they run around. You can feed some people. Now people want to laugh about black people not eating right. Oh, really? Really? What are we doing to produce that food that we need? Whether it's organic or not, because when you get hungry, you know, as I always say to my Muslim friends, Tyson, that don't eat pork, and the other people that won't eat meat, and my vegan friends, give it a minute now without no food. Right. Your whole ideology may fall apart. Because hunger will have you eating some Funyuns, you know what I mean? You'll be looking for some Funyuns. Slap me upside the head for a piece of pork. A pork rind, too. So if they can do all of that, why can't we? also getting rid of them, develop the technology so we will have housing, where we will have food, where we will have medical care. And we will have information that we need to move on and be educated, whether or not the public schools are doing, which they haven't. You know, they abandoned that a long time ago. That is your job, you young people. As Mao Zedong said, and I like to always quote this, you young people full of vim and vigor, you are like the sun at 8 or 9 in the morning. If you're going to be tech activists, you got to be ideologically committed to using your knowledge to advancing the cause of freedom. You can't just sit up here and say, I'm going to write a nice poem. I'm going to do this. I'm a songwriter. Huey Newton was a poet. Mao Zedong was a poet. Che Guevara was a poet. But you've got to begin to get back to the cause of freedom for all of the people. And we can't allow ourselves to be arguing over gender issues, sexual orientation issues, and other identity issues that can cause us to not stay focused on who and what are our common enemy. The Black Panther Party, as a matter of fact, among many things, I'm almost finished. One of the things that we did among the things that people didn't know about, like technology, in 1970, Huey Newton issued a statement that gay liberation was a part of our struggle. Nobody recognizes that. People think there was some kind of crazy black thug boys running around, and people ask me, what does it feel like to be a woman in the Black Panther Party? And so forth and so on, as though we had all these thugs running around. We were an oppressed group within the group, coming with that bourgeois feminist notion, right? Because I always tell the bourgeois feminists, you can't talk to me about black men right now because there was no gender division in the field. I worked like a man and he was treated like masses bitch. So you can't talk to us about the same things. We haven't had the same experience. These are my brothers, and I'll have an argument with them later. So this is your job because we are in the age of technological mass unemployment, right? Yes. It ain't no point you get no training course. You have these jobs, they have these job training for people coming out the joint. I'm gonna give you a job, what you gonna train me to do? You know, it's like, well, mostly it's to pull up your pants, don't wear a grill, don't look like you're going nowhere to kill nobody, you know? But you still not gonna get no job if you're permanently incarcerated, right? Now the part I like is, I always tell these people that I've got permanently incarcerated people that we work with, we're trying to build businesses for them because they ain't gonna get a job. And so I said, well, why don't you train somebody to be a teller? What's the difference in the skill sets between being a Wells Fargo teller and a McDonald's cashier? Same things, like money in, money out. You know, it's like no pickles, cash money, you know, whatever. It's the same thing. No skill sets are required for that because that's over now. That whole industrial jobs, they're left. The only people doing those things are in the global hinterlands, like Kuala Lumpur or somewhere. You know, you always say on your clothing it has made in Malaysia or some shit. That's where Pooh Diddy, whatever his name is, has his clothing line made.
That's right.
Jay-Z and them, they're all up in Southeast Asia exploiting the women there to make their expensive clothing here. So the point I'm making is that the U.S. economy, which is in control of the world economy, remains strong because of technology. Now the good news is that we have everything to gain from throwing ourselves into this whole tech activism. We came through slavery, we came through discrimination in the industrial age, but somehow technology has provided a strange kind of even playing field. That is to say, you've got your iPhones and your other little stuff, and these are some tools that you can begin to work with, right? The programming, the computer coding, all this stuff has already been done. So we can probably use this stuff and bring something different. We can begin to bring light to the African continent, which has no electricity or energy to have any light, and water and all that stuff. We can be doing that right now. All the people want to be, you know, Afrocentric. Well, be Afrocentric and get some stuff together. Black women on the continent of Africa are the poorest people on the planet. Why? Because they don't have basic things like food or a place to stay or shelter, and they're taking care of children, all of that. We can create the tools to seize control of all of the resources on the African continent, as we should have done, and harness them for our own interest. For housing for the homeless people. We crying about the homeless, and we know there's a 3D printer that makes a house. Hello, is there anybody listening? Food for the hungry, power for and to the people. Life goes forward, not backwards, so there's no point in us looking back at this point. Seize this new technology, all the new technology. Deal with it, because we're not going to unknow anything anyway. And make that technology act in a desired manner as both a tool and a weapon. Now, they have said that the Russians weaponized social media, right? Anybody heard that?
Yeah.
Remember Trump collusion? The Russians weaponized social media, perhaps they did. Well, why can't we begin to weaponize social media? This don't seem like it's going to be that complicated. You know, it's fake news floating around all day long. In the absence, though, of the collective will to fight this oppressive scheme, to really go forward with arms against a sea of troubles, in light of the absence of that, we can at least begin to dismantle this scheme that controls our lives and create the means for our survival and for the survival of the oppressed people of the world pending revolutionary change. That has to be your goal, to create the tech tools and weaponize them, to educate the people, empower the people toward creating a world where we know the people will be able to live a beautiful life in harmony with each other and with all of nature. And we can begin to talk about power to the people in real terms. All right, thank you.